Hello, I'm Murray Collins, and this is the Space Intelligence Nature-Based Solutions podcast. And we are back here for a third time, Stuart, in the studio. Wonderful studio found by Snezana here in Jakarta. Wonderful place. We love the sofas. We've had some fantastic Indonesian food, and we're meeting some wonderful people who are explaining to us the rapid development of Indonesia's nature-based solutions sector. Some new guests today. Pleased to be joined by the team from PTSEM, so Spatial Ecology Management, Perusahaan Terbatas, a limited company in Indonesian. Would you like to make an introduction to yourselves? Just tell everybody what you're doing.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for Murray. For having me. My name is Muharam Angga Pratama, and you can call me Angga. And this is my partners, Sandi Bimasena, our COO of PTSEM or Spatial Eco Management. So basically, I'm the CEO of Spatial Eco Management. Basically, PTSEM or Spatial Eco Management is environmental consulting firm dedicated to advancing sustainable development and climate action. So we specialize in conducting feasibility studies, monitoring carbon emissions, and preparing community engagement plan and safeguard and so on, and facilitating fundraising for impactful green initiatives. And so on, related to environmental sector. So our mission is to facilitate private sectors, mainly private sectors, to transform into green focus and to deliver data-driven solutions for that empower organizations to create NBS, on nature-based solution, and lasting positive impacts for generation and future and for the planet.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I mean, I'll give Mas Bima some time to introduce himself.
As Angga said, my name is Sandi Bimasena, but people call me Bima. I am the CEO, the CFO, the finance and the operating officer here at PTSEM. Well, I would like to add some point here from Angga's statement that the standing point of PTSEM is that we would like to express Indonesian young people encouraging in environmental aspects. I am myself is a Gen Z. I was born in 2003, meaning I am only 22 years old, and I would like to express that me myself as a young generation, as a youth of Indonesian people, I am aware and I am. Would like to protect my environment, my nation environment, Indonesian environment even more. And I believe that Indonesian environment has a lot of potential in the future, and we would like to develop it even more. And me, myself, I believe that, Indonesia has a lot of potential, and will be such a waste if the young generation are not taking care of it for the future. Yeah.
Brilliant. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Stuart, welcome back. For anybody who hasn't seen any of the previous episodes, a very brief introduction to your good self, if you wouldn't mind.
I love meeting Gen Z. I'm
Gen X, by the way. I'm Gen X.
Anyone from baby boomer onwards, of which, of course, I am one. Look, it's my background is investment banking, and then the last 20 years I've focused on sustainable development. My main business is in Peru, but I'm here this week with Murray and the Space Intelligence team, really looking at opportunities in Indonesia, not for my business, but really for space intelligence to leverage its presence in the Indonesian market. I think what's so exciting is to hear what you've just said. Yeah. It's exciting for me to work with very smart young people with a different attitude to maybe 2 generations before. And I think it's clear around the world now that young people want to make a difference, feel empowered, and also with very high levels of education around the world as well. So things have changed. And I think economic development, which in the past has often been extractive or even exploitative, actually people are changing the way in which they're thinking about things, thinking more smart about how to be sustainable, not just for their own business, but actually for the country or for the planet as a whole. So it's a really interesting dynamic. I think that there are many entrepreneurially minded young people who can really make a difference and explain to their compatriots what they want to do and what the opportunity is. And we can see that here in Indonesia. It's very exciting.
Well, I'm just fascinated by the idea, excuse me, that you're well-educated young people and you could have gone to do any number of things. So you probably could have got a job in a big consulting company, another international business, but you've chosen to devote your careers, and also you see the big opportunity in working in environmental sustainability. So could you just tell us about the decision process to get to this point? Why did you start working in this field?
Actually, I have over 8 years in environmental sectors, and 5 years I have co-founded my own startup in technology. But now
So you're like the Elon Musk of Indonesia? What was
no,
what
not
was,
really,
what
because
was your tech startup?
I already exited from.
You've already exited. Wow, we've got a one-time exited founder. Is that one exited business?
Exited and bankrupt, actually.
Exited and bankrupt. Was that the same event or?
No. So, but I see the opportunities in a green sector, and I sing and swim in here.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. I mean, an entrepreneur, Indonesian entrepreneur, but you believe that there's a real opportunity
because,
in nature-based solutions. Yeah.
Yes, because Indonesia have the biggest, second biggest forest in the world, right? So I believe that we, as a Gen X and Gen Z, can create some, impact with these industries.
But you think there's a real, you're an entrepreneur, so you think there's a real business here for you as a businessman. And again, you could have chosen any other sector.
Yes, because
you've already exited a business. Why you said Indonesia has this real opportunity because it has the second biggest forest in the world. You're putting your time and effort and your money into this, sink or swim.
Yes, sink or swim, because from 120 million hectares of forest in Indonesia, 60% is managed by private sectors. We can facilitate private sector to help them to transform into green business. Yeah.
Okay.
That is a great opportunity.
Okay, amazing. And Stuart, again, this echoes what you've been saying throughout this entire trip. It's not about conservation in the classic way. This is now a big commercial opportunity for the people of Indonesia. And Bima, you said as a Gen Z person, is this something which is reflected across all of Indonesia's Gen Z, a concern for the environment?
Yeah. So actually, my background is in accounting, so I have no idea actually in this field previously. And then after I met Angga here, I was...
So did Angga get you into this?
Yeah,
into this world?
But actually, my background is business administration, not related to environmental.
So have neither of you been out in the forest measuring trees? You just see this as a commercial opportunity?
But of course, Angga was more experienced here in the environmental business, and then I was enlightened into joining this kind of business. And then after that, I then realized, even in my generation, we are starting to aware about environment. So, for example, a lot of my friends starting to use a tumbler, a bottle container, rather than purchasing plastic bottle. And then me myself, I also use a tumbler instead of plastic bottle, because I think for myself that first it is cheaper for me, of course. I don't have to buy plastic bottle everywhere. And then secondly, I could protect my environment from the waste of the plastic. And then after that, from my friends also, from my generation, I started to realize that they are starting to more aware of the environment. They are starting to voluntarily cleaning up space. They are starting to voluntarily, and engaging in environmental activities. Some sort of like that.
I find it fascinating that neither of you have come from what you would consider like a classic environmental sciences type background. You're both really entrepreneurs, finance background, business background. You see an opportunity, but also your generation, in particular Gen Z, want to do something to improve Indonesia's environment. I have to say, I feel personally massively enthused and excited by this. Stuart?
I agree. Look, of course, I've been doing this a little bit longer than you, but I came also from a finance background. I didn't, when someone mentioned the word, this is going to sound strange, sustainable to me a long time ago, I had to ask what they meant by that. So that's my journey. I've come a long way from knowing very little about this field into it being really much all my life, right? And I think there's two things going on here, right? One is, as you have mentioned, people are changing their consumption habits. So they want to know where the products that they buy have come from and how they've been made and what the environmental impact is on that. So that's a driving force for change. At the same time, entrepreneurs are saying, there's an opportunity here. Don't know quite what it is necessarily, but we're going to find out what that opportunity is, and we're going to work out how to make it profitable at the same time as delivering those environmental outcomes. So the two sides, the demand side from people changing their habits, the supply side driven by entrepreneurs with new ideas, a fresh outlook, and an understanding, I think, of that joining up on demand with the supply. So it's a really interesting opportunity. And I love it, meeting people like you who are at the coalface saying, we're going to do something here, and we're going to try really hard to make it work. And bringing in entrepreneurial experience, it doesn't always work. But actually, you learn through that, and then you find some solution which does work. And I think you're on the right track. Yeah. For sure, if you have a country with 120 million hectares of forest, 16% privately owned, with demand globally for nature-based solutions, you're on the right track. You found the gold mine.
Let's dig into the detail then. I would love to learn more about how PTSEM works, and let's focus on the critical local communities. You mentioned stakeholder engagement and feasibility assessments. Please tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, so PTSEM oriented in FOLU, forest or other land use, and we prepared pre-feasibility studies and also the process of feasibility studies. But also we work closely with the government. So we have several relationships here with the government, making our work will be easier. And then lastly, for the community engagement, so we actually collaborate with several universities in Indonesia. So we have a project in West Java, and then we also have a project in Sulawesi. And we believe by collaborating with universities, local universities in Indonesia, we are pursuing our goals to be enrolled or to enroll with the local communities like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, we work with universities to helping local farmers to adopt eco-friendly practices and encouraging the agroforestry, also eco farming. So encouraging eco farming and also we encouraging innovation of renewable energy made by biomass, renewable energy in Sulawesi. So yeah.
So this is stuff happening right across Indonesia.
Yeah.
It's a huge country,
Because,
lots of different activity.
Yeah, we know that carbon forest is still a new initiative in Indonesia. Yeah. This is because there is no urgency to do carbon trading in Indonesia for business actors.
So more demand for carbon credits means more real action in Indonesia.
We should collaborate with community engagement is really important.
Okay, thank you. And Bima, anything else you would like to add on that about particularly the role of communities in the projects that you work in?
Yeah, of course, with several activities that we have done, we have come up with several challenges that we face in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Is that with working with the communities?
That includes one, but
Yeah.
the main challenge I think in Indonesia is that the regulations are not well developed.
And these are internal Indonesian regulations, or the okay.
internal Indonesian regulations I think are not well developed. I think they are kept on changing years on years, and then they are not really settled into the development of an environment here in Indonesia. So I think that's become a challenge for us to deliver about the environmental sector here in Indonesia. But as I said before, we work closely with the government, then we can get an up-to-date information regarding it. And then the second one is that the environment engagement, because community engagement, because I think environment is not a very familiar context here in Indonesia. So we need to really introduce it first about how important it is for the Indonesian people to, care more about environment. So that's become a challenge for us here in Indonesia.
Okay. But it sounds like you're doing the right things, that you're engaging with the government. I'm sure the legislation will improve and will be clarified over time. I'd like to pick up on a theme now, which is about integrity and high quality. So if you speak to a lot of these big investors, carbon credit buyers, their main concern is high integrity. And from our conversations previously, and even whilst we've been recording, you seem really focused on creating projects which have real impact and working with the local communities. What does integrity of a project mean to you, and how do you ensure that you deliver high integrity projects?
So we have to ensure that the activity plan is based on robust data and executed effectively, not just a document. So if there is a plantation projects, it is necessary to have a physical plantation in the field, right? So because there are many instances of discrepancies between the document and what is
the actual situation
observed in the field,
Okay.
right? We have to clear that, and the additionally, there should be community involvement, so they increase their income, and they should be more prosperous, and collaborating with various parties like universities is also necessary, because universities often have an impact on academic outcomes. And the most important thing is private sectors, because that 60% of forest is managed by private sector. So this is opportunity to private sector for private sectors to create an impact in sustainability.
Brilliant, thanks very much. So verifying what people say, and that 60% of all Indonesia's forests is under private management.
Yeah.
They're doing a project to develop nature-based solutions and issue credits. High quality verification of what they're doing is really critical.
And we have to be concerned about how to ensure the credibility of verification and monitoring system.
Okay.
Because without proper verification, there is a risk of greenwashing. You know what?
Yep, exactly. But it sounds like you're here, and Space Intelligence is here to support that. Independent data and independent checks from people like yourselves ensures that the impact is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
And we know that in Indonesia, Indonesia is, as a developing country, we lack advanced satellite technology to collect baseline data effectively. So I think collaboration with international partners like Space Intelligence it will help us to supporting.
Well, of course, that's why we're here, and it's great to be
advancing this field. Yeah.
advancing the field. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Bima, what does high integrity mean for you, and how do you ensure it?
For me, integrity is everything at this job, because for me, I do this kind of sectors, I do this kind of field, not only for the business, but also because I care about the environment. There is more to it rather than just money. We don't always talk about money here. We talk about developing our environment, protecting our environment. So meaning that integrity is everything, and I don't want lack of integrity being a problem here in my sector here. So yeah, I think integrity is everything for me in this kind of sector.
It's brilliant to hear, and I think this really is the evolution of the market. Previously, we had the voluntary carbon market and the development of early projects where there's been a lot of scrutiny recently, but we're now moved clearly to a verified carbon market 2.0, and then the evolution under Article 6 will be a scaling up of verified impact projects. We're also in the room with somebody who runs a prize-winning project, no less, in Peru. I'm going to ask Stuart then the same question. What does integrity mean for you in project development in nature-based solutions world?
Well, it's mandatory, and it's great to hear your gut feel that integrity is at the heart of a project, because of course it is. So just some experience, if you like, from Peru. From the outset, we were determined to create a project, a large-scale project, that in addition to the carbon outcomes, also had a positive impact on biodiversity and a positive impact on the people who neighbour our forest. So no one lives in our forest, but we have neighbours. So really from the outset, we designed our project around integrity. We engaged with space intelligence very early on, and we were confident about our measurement of the net carbon effects. So we've never had any issues of people challenging us there. On the community side, I think it's right. I and you feel very stimulated by having positive outcomes for other people. But I'd also look at it from a business perspective, by engaging with communities, understanding what they want rather than what you want from them, measuring the outcomes that you can produce for those communities, benchmarking them against sustainable development goals and so forth as well. This is a way of de-risking your project. Because unless you align your interests with the interests of local people, you at some point in the future may encounter a problem. So it's just sensible business to do it this way. And I think, if you add the two things together, your personal desire or the world's desire to see positive outcomes, but also with the business perspective of de-risking whatever project you have, I think then you'll have a successful project. So it's all about engagement, it's about understanding what local people want, it's about due process, free, prior and informed consent, and then keeping going with that as well. So I just think it's a very modern, it's a very sensible way of doing business. I think it's gut feel, right? It's innate for you, for Gen Zs, young people. People get this, and I think it's the right way to do projects. So it's wonderful to hear what you're doing in Indonesia. You can see I have grey hair. I got it in Peru. There's lots of lessons that you can learn, I think, from other projects around the world. And the great thing about this market is it's just starting. So we're very friendly, right? Everyone wants to collaborate and work with each other. So we're up for that.
And make a really big impact. That's the key point. And I'm loving your enthusiasm and the energy that Gen X and Gen Z is bringing here in Indonesia. One of the things that we've been talking a lot about in this podcast, and whilst we've been in Singapore and in Indonesia, is for higher integrity projects. There is a demand from international buyers. I'm curious, is PTSEM, are you trying to connect your projects with buyers of credits from, for instance, Japan, South Korea?
Yeah, we have that concept, but it is still in progress. in the next vision, we actually we are intent to set up investment company that focus on green project, but the concept is still in progress. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, as a business, we would like to expand or to develop our business even more in the future. So we have the idea or the concept for it to open for the foreign investors. But currently, we still focus only on the local one. But we've also have the capabilities because we have experts working here at PTSEM, and we've always open for an upcoming opportunities.
Well, I'm going to say you're not short of ambition. Right, you're also going to create a green investment
we
fund.
wait and see.
You're going to wait and see. Okay. Well, maybe you can do some more project development first. So that's interesting. So you guys have got loads of energy. You're going to do some fantastic things, and I don't want to keep you too much longer from doing those fantastic things. However, I'm going to ask a question on what you think is the one significant thing in the carbon market or for nature-based solutions that will happen for Indonesia by the end of 2025?
Yeah, so I think that Indonesia has a lot of potential. Indonesia has a lot of opportunities in the future, but we are not really developed in it. We are not really developed in the carbon market process. We are not really developed in focusing on environment. So I think there is still a long way to go until we've reached a more developed and a more complex concept of environment here in Indonesia. But what I've seen is that I think this year will be a great jump for Indonesia to have a more awareness in carbon market and especially in environment. But I think there is a lot of more ways to it than just a year, I think.
Okay, brilliant. And what I'll do, I'll come back to both Angga, Bima, both of you, to have a last word, if you like. Yeah. I'm also going to ask Stuart the same question from the external perspective, in particular, if you could put your investment banking hat on and say you've arrived in Indonesia and you are looking at this new sector, what would be your one predictor for 2025?
So I think actually, so now we're in March 2025, so we've got 9 months to go. I agree with you. I think that we will see over the course of this year international recognition of the potential that Indonesia has got. I think we will see, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think we're going to see an Indonesia Article 6 trade in some form. And I think that will really send a message to the world that Indonesia is open for business. And I think podcasts like this, meeting people like you, will give a lot of confidence to the world that there are not just commitments from the government, and I agree, a lot of regulations need to be sorted out, not just commitments from large corporations to do business here, but the people really with local connections on the ground who understand that gap between what needs doing and the opportunity to change the way things are. And I think that will happen this year. So I said earlier, I'm an optimist. I'm always an optimist. One thing I've observed is that when there's interesting markets, things happen a lot quicker than you think. So I would be at your desk as soon as possible. There's things to do here.
So we shouldn't hold these good folk up any longer. However, Bima, if there's anything we haven't discussed about PTSEM or some last words, over to you.
Well, I think we have covered enough.
Yeah.
I think we've covered all of the PTSEM aspects here. But what I want to add is that I think we still have a lot of room to move, and I still think that PTSEM is really new, and I think there is still a lot of potential to build here. And I think, what I want in the future is that we can collaborate even across nations. For example, with space intelligence, I think we could collaborate effectively in the future. And I think, perhaps we could collaborate in the future to, not only for a business, but also to have a better environment and to have a better impact in the future for our world.
Fantastic. Well, I share the sentiment across the generations. To meet some young, energetic Indonesian people is fantastic. Angga, any last words?
And I think we have taken, small steps that can help us assist the private sector to transform that business to green business.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm. I think there's one more question. Stuart, when are we going to come back? That's the key. That's the key question. This country is changing very quickly.
Well, the answer to that question is very soon.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to see you. And the very best wishes for all of your important work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.